Unfiltered. BM8 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 Unfiltered.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of BM8 Unfiltered. The platform was created for you to have an interaction with Honorable Brian Mundubile, who is the Tonse Alliance president and as well as 2026 candidate for the Tonse Alliance. Respond to those questions that have been burning on your hearts. It's a Friday, and I trust you're having yourselves a great Friday. Let me introduce the man of the moment, the man of the hour. How's been your week? How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you, Buchi. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How's been your week?
Our week has been busy. I've been all over the country. I was in Western Province. I came back, I think, on Monday. Yeah, so it's been a very busy week.
I mean, I love how busy the week has been, but I'm also seeing you're wearing something that speaks to the Ntwala ceremony. Do tell me about the Ntwala ceremony and what you make of traditional ceremonies in Zambia, how important they are, and how you feel about them, basically.
Well, traditional ceremonies are very, very important, Buchi. You know, they preserve our culture. If you've attended any of these ceremonies, you actually understand. You pick the energy, you know, that exists there. The spirit of camaraderie, the fellowship among citizens. It's the only time that you don't get to see, you know, members of different political parties pointing fingers at each other. You see them existing as brothers. I don't know about you, Buchi, but I've been to several. I was just checking. You remember that, I think I mentioned to you, I started my school in Northwestern Province. And I attended, I would go to
celebrating a traditional ceremony, which is currently the one that's going on.
Well, my first message was to His Royal Highness Nkosi, His Royal Highness Chief Mpezeni, congratulating him for the successful hosting of Ntwala. The pictures coming out of there show that it's a very, very colorful event, as it is, well attended. And I can see that my Mbuyas, the Ngonis, are very, very excited about that. And I'm sure they're looking forward to coming to Xavier Pangwena Of course, they've been throwing a few jokes about the size of a crocodile and so on. This year it will be very big, a very big crocodile. So I'm saying tili bwanju ko kuchipata. Of course, in Solwezi, we are saying mujivyepi, tulibuti. I'm headed south. I'm looking for the next traditional ceremony, Luindi or something. I think that's the only one remaining amongst the major ceremonies that we are celebrating as a country.
No, I'll make sure to get you some deva, since I'm from that side, so that you can try that, because it's very important that you try it, and you try it live here.
I will. What can I do?
Let's get into Sopa asked the vice president why this happened, and Her Honor responded saying Tonse has to be registered for it to be recognized. What do you make of such a response by the vice president?
It was a very poor response from the vice president. It lacked sincerity. In the first place, there's no requirement that this particular alliance has to be registered before we can assemble under its umbrella. In any case, Pucci, maybe you'd want to ask the vice president, PF, SP, CF, all these political parties are registered. Do they allow them to assemble? If indeed what the problem was registration, what about these registered political parties? Is FDD allowed to assemble? So what you have a country going through a dictatorship. Our colleagues in government today are proving to the whole world that they're introducing a dictatorship. We have argued many a time that the democratic space has shrunk terribly. And many people sometimes would argue that these are mere sentiments coming from the opposition. But what you see, the lived realities on the ground, as Tonse, basically every week, we are having to sign police bonds for our members who would have been meeting in a house, at a lodge, indoor meetings. We can't even meet our members in a hotel. Police would pounce and arrest our members. It's very, very unfortunate indeed. Our members, like every other citizen, right to associate. So when you look at the Public Order Act of 1955, and you look at how the police are implementing it, for some reason they believe that we need to get a police permit before we can assemble. And yet, what the statute states is totally different. All you have to do is to notify the police that you're going to have a meeting. Even when you notify them, they begin to now direct you. They want to control you. They want to tell you how you can't have that meeting because they don't have enough manpower to marshal or police the particular event. When you attempt to have it, the police show up in their hundreds. When the excuse earlier was that they didn't have enough manpower to police the event. So it's very unfortunate, really. This is how many years after independence? 60? We can't even do the simplest of things. And yet we're a constitutional democracy where people are supposed to assemble freely. So what the vice president was saying, like I said, the response was very poor. It lacked sincerity.
With that happening, what do you make of the political atmosphere, especially that the opposition are unable to come together and assemble? How is this affecting your mobilization for your party?
Of course, it's affecting every other opposition leader because we can't meet our members. We can't sell, market our messages to our members. The UPND, for some reason, are very sure that the message that we take to our people will be taken seriously. And in their limited wisdom, they think that by bringing up police, Zambian citizen, an average voter, will believe everything that they say. They feel by keeping the members away from these meetings that Zambians will now believe that Milimi was actually 50 kwacha. They believe by frustrating the messenger, the message will change. They believe that by arresting Tonse members, putting them in police cells, Zambians will believe that indeed fuel has reduced from 20-something kwacha per liter to the dollar is at 5 kwacha. So it doesn't help. By frustrating the messenger, it doesn't mean that the message will change. Of course, there are many other platforms, including social media platforms, where we are able to disseminate information. But that is not to say that we are okay with what is going on.
So as Tonse president, you've spoken about a number of things that, fuel, millimil, and all these things that investment for it to develop from its own resources. So as Tonse president, how can we get more Zambians out of poverty using our own resources?
Well, first of all, we have to make we have to put Zambians at the center of our policies. We've got to favor our local citizens. If you talk about resources, we are talking about our mineral resources, for instance. We're talking about our tourism assets, as it were. We're talking about our arable land with water. So we have more than enough resources to transform our country. Investors are important anytime. Even the Chinese, you would be interested to know that at some point, the Chinese relied on Singapore for investment. When they were developing the eastern part of China, the East Coast, sure that the investors brought in capital, they brought in technology, and some 10 years ago, when we took a tour, they told us that only 50 million Chinese were poor. And they projected that within 10 years, they will eradicate poverty completely, meaning that 1.2 billion people, would have been rescued out of poverty. Our population is just 20 million people. Look at our mineral resource, look at our copper, look at our gold, look at our cobalt. We, in the agricultural sector, we have 40% of the water in the sub-Saharan Africa. Look at our tourism assets. What is needed here is a focused leadership that to be able to convert these assets to the benefit of the Zambian people. So yes, to answer your question, Zambia has enough resources to transform the country.
Let's move and talk about the August, because it's upon us, and it's the purpose for a lot that have been happening. As we get closer to August, with the recent announced intentions by the ECZ to amend the Electoral Act, what is Tonse's position on this?
Of course, we object to most of these amendments. In any case, why should it happen at the last minute? Why is the UPND in panic? Why is President Hakainde Hichilema in panic? There's nothing wrong with the Electoral Process Act. There's nothing wrong with it. If there was, he would not have been elected into power. Remember, he took over power from a sitting government, meaning that these laws are just fine. So we are very concerned, and we're calling upon the cooperating partners and many other stakeholders to take interest. We are a constitutional democracy. And as a matter of fact, we must be able to, we should be able to protect.
Trying to do with the election. Do you still believe that we will have a free and fair election going into August as we approach? Because we're getting closer every time.
Well, first of all, when you talk about a free and fair election, you should be talking about an independent electoral commission of Zambia. So for ECZ, ECZ should not only be independent, but be seen to be independent. You begin to interrogate some of the activities or some of the elections they've conducted in the recent past. Has ECZ been independent? ECZ has not been independent, has not been seen to be independent. Some of the concerns concerning the ECZ are concerns that we raised before. We raised concerns concerning the commissioners, the people who are managing, the people who are superintending over the activities of the ECZ. These are non-members of the UPND. So, Buchi, the independence that we talk about by this electoral body, they should not only be independent, but be seen to be independent. So the moment you remove a retired judge from the helm of ECZ, and then you appoint a member from your central committee, whatever you call it, national management committee, at that point alone, you can never say any election coming out or supervised by ECZ will be fair. Even if it's fair, it cannot be seen to be fair. So that's a starting point. There's a number of things that have happened. ECZ can come up with rules not backed by any law. I remember very well that they stopped Boma Lusambo and Joseph Malanji from filing their nominations. They came up with their own rules against a court judgment, as it were. And we lost 2 seats. At that point, very early in the day, as soon as they took over government, we realized that our democracy was indeed in trouble. And ECZ has continued to misconduct itself on a number of occasions.
You're watching BM8, and send those questions to in the comment section. Leave them there, and very soon you'll start responding to those questions that are burning on your hearts. Remember, we're live on the Finton Ilungu Facebook page. BM8 is live on YouTube, and as well as TikTok. Ensure you follow us on TikTok. That's BM8 Unfiltered, and as well as Facebook. Brian Mundubile, the Facebook page, right there. You'll be able to catch BM8 Unfiltered every Friday. Now let's talk about, let's briefly discuss the efforts by other players to unite the opposition. There are entities such as the Council of Elders for Ethical Leadership, Democracy and Development, who are organizing a national conference of democracy and development for change advocates as well. So I know you've been invited for this. Are you attending, and do you think this is the right move going forward by these entities?
Well, first of all, the efforts by the many stakeholders that we've mentioned to try and unite the opposition, those efforts are noble. Those are noble efforts, and they should be encouraged by all. When you come to, say, Tonse, you know that Tonse is an opposition coalition with 12 registered political parties, 11 civil society organizations. So you're talking about 23 organizations under Tonse. Over the weekend, efforts that other stakeholders are also making. So we agree with the efforts that are making, because as Tonse, we're actually also already doing that. As regards my participation, this is a decision, of course, that would be difficult to make, because it's a council of leaders at Tonse that will have to allow their president to go and with 15 opposition political parties that are registered, coming and standing behind a single candidate. would have reduced the number of presidents on the ballot. Without Tonse, so to speak, there would have been an extra 15 presidents competing on August 13. But these 15 have all surrendered and said, we are going to field one candidate, as it were. So ultimately, there's nothing wrong with the leadership on democracy are doing. So they could, through their efforts, maybe another leader will be produced. Meaning, a number of political parties under that initiative, under that effort,
Interesting. Let's talk about a number of things that, before we interact with our followers and listeners, let's talk about a number of things that have happened on the floor of the House.
Source of concern. The former Minister of Health, raised a concern that the voting equipment had malfunctioned. In a serious country, this is not something you can sweep under the carpet, Pucci. He confessed that the voting system in Parliament had actually malfunctioned. You just can't brush it aside. On the other hand, you hear the Deputy Secretary General, Getro Dimenda, telling the nation that up to 9 UPND MPs did not vote. On the other side, there's did not vote. And when I actually feel that that particular bill did not attain a two-thirds majority as required by the Constitution. One, there's an issue of the equipment having malfunctioned. Two, there are several MPs from the UPND side that did not vote. There are also MPs from the PF side that argue that they did not vote. The question is, who voted? Did they really achieve or attain the two-thirds majority? This is a very serious matter. It should not be downplayed. You see, Parliament operates around systems. If you ask me a question, how do we verify when there's a vote that is called on the floor of the House? The results are published. The results of votes and proceedings are published. In this particular case, the results have never been published. Now we're getting these startling revelations. One, that equipment was faulty. Two, that those MPs that we believe that voted actually did not vote. And then on the other side, you begin to hear that savers were moving from one point to the other and so on. So if Speaker Moyo argued that this equipment is regularly serviced, and we're getting information from Parliament that there was a movement of the saver from one place to the other soon after the voting had happened. That information is corroborating. It's corroborating the information given by Minister Muchima. Muchima argues that these are UPND. Some MPs are arguing the bill may not have gone through as a matter.
A way
information also emerges from Parliament that there was some movements of the saver, whatever that means. So if the equipment was working perfectly, what saver was moving up, this Parliament can only redeem itself. MPs voted. Abstain. Zambia cannot remain quiet over this particular matter. The stories around this were dying down until this minister came up with this startling revelation. Gertrude Menda tells us about the 9 MPs who did not vote. Now we are concerned. We've taken interest in this particular matter. So the feeling of many citizens now is that the vote was manipulated. The vote may have been manipulated. Remember, Buchi, this is the most important vote in Parliament. It affects the Constitution. It affects the aspirations of the Zambian people, you and me. How go back and talk about the controversies that characterized Bill 7. But now we are talking about the actual voting in Parliament. The question is, why is Parliament failing to release the results of that day, the voting pattern of that day? We want to know who voted yes, who voted no, who abstained from that particular vote. That's the only way Parliament will be able to redeem itself. For corridor arguments, get the equipment, this
of the House. Speaker Nelly Mutu responded to a point of order by Honorable who was seeking clarification on the memorandum of understanding between Zambia and the US. In your view, in terms of the separation of powers, what would you make of position in responding to that?
You see, like I said earlier, I'm sure you remember, I'd like to refer to the speech by the Ghanaian president, where he talked about respecting institutions, respecting the separation of powers. When I listened to the response by Madam Speaker, I was very concerned. Firstly, it was not in her purview. It was not in her province to provide that response, because she is the head of the legislature. The question was posed to the executive to respond. She's part of the legislature. How did she know? How did she know the salient features of this particular MOU, or indeed the response by the Zambian government? Because that's not in a remit. That's not in a province. Take it upon to give that response. Another source of concern was the manner in which that response was given. It's very important that when we are referring to our cooperating partners, we must give measured responses. I think the manner with which it was given, Zambians must appreciate that these cooperating partners have been our friends for a very long time, particularly the US in this particular case. The US was spending close to $500 million per year in the health sector. And any citizen, every reasonable citizen, should be able to show some appreciation for the assistance that we've been getting from the US, as it were. Now, to respond to them in that manner, I think it's something that is regrettable. Madam Speaker should have given much more. First of all, she's not even supposed to respond. She should have called in the manner that she did. It is unfortunate. It does not represent the views of many of the Zambians who actually appreciate the assistance that we get from our cooperating partners. So it was very, very unfortunate indeed. I saw it later. I was not in the house today. I was not in the house yesterday when that response was given. We would have expected to get a response from the executive. It was a very important point of order. There's been a number of questions raised concerning that particular memorandum. I don't know what the exact sector between the US to raise a point of order, or indeed a question, so that there could be clarity to that effect. But Madam Speaker decided she could respond on behalf of government. that system where one unit are supposed to be distinct units. These are supposed to be separated. They're supposed to act independent of each other. But what we saw in that response leaves much to be desired. It shows that the executive and the legislature are actually one, which is not supposed to be the case. Yeah.
Let's talk about delimitation exercise. I know we spoke briefly about this some time back, but currently there's an exercise, and I just want to find out: are you happy with what's happening? Because a few traditional leaders, or rather a lot of traditional leaders, have not expressed happiness with how the delimitation is exercised.
The manner, we constantly asked and demanded for the release of the constituencies to be delimited. But the government has kept this information veiled. We've not been able to know and Bill 7 came up. It was going to rely on the 2019 EC delimitation report. They wouldn't give a clear answer. Most of the people were given some comfort when they take and the explanation up to a minimum of 7 constituencies per province to be under delimitation. That was some comfort, because then there was a basis. Our belief was every province would then be given 7 constituencies. If every province was to be given 7 constituencies, it should have been easier for government to release the report so that it didn't on the combination of these constituencies. Say, for instance, if Northern Province was given 13 for some reason, the minimum was 7. They could easily pick 7 from the 13, and there'll be no argument about that. As regards the consultation to be relied upon should have been the consultation that was done. Do this consultation now is a total mess. I'm sure you've been following what's happening, whether it's in Southern Province, Northwest, Eastern, everywhere. It's been acrimonious. I mean, people, there's a near punch-up at every meeting because people don't seem to agree. And why is that so? Because the people feel cheated. They feel that they cheated. So there's nothing under the UPND that is done properly.
You're watching BM8 Unfiltered, and your questions that you've been putting in the comment section are coming up next. Those are the ones he will be responding to. We take a short break, and on the other side, your questions are answered.
Hello, Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to listen. I want to hear from you. Of your question or message, send it to the WhatsApp number below, and I'll during the BM8 and Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. Hello, Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below. And I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. And to stand 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, without listening to you, I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below. And I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future. Firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. Unfiltered. And YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short and send it to the WhatsApp number below. And I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. Hello, Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready. In the village or in the city, Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future.
Big questions that you've been asking. Honorable Brian Mundubile, Tonse Alliance President, is What do you make of that?
Well, that's total hypocrisy. You know that tomorrow, as President Hakainde Hichilema goes for Nchwala, we are told there will be defectors from the PF. And the MPs that voted for Bill 7, and predominantly from the Eastern Province, may be defecting tomorrow to the PND. So if that is the case, if they're alleging misconduct on the part of the MPs, there's also misconduct on the part of the other MPs from their political party. How would they discipline their members, whilst on the other hand accepting or admitting into their party the members from the PF that are defecting? So really, it's total hypocrisy. It's rumored that yes, they may get rid of those 9 MPs from the UPND and replace them with the MPs from the PF. It's a total circus. Yeah.
Let's talk about the month that is coming up. March is coming up, and March has 2 big days: Youth Day and Women's Day. These are 2 big events for 2 different demographies and 2 very important people. One speaks to the workforce, and the other one speaks to the women that continue to grow.
The women and the youth. We are focused on Nakulumutinta Pamakasa. This is the power to the women. And on the other hand, Nakulumutinta Pamakasa is a grandmother who's bringing up youths. So our focus is on the youths and on the women. Events.
Let's talk a couple of questions that have come through from the general public. One of them is from Marcus Gesham, who says, "Honorable, I wanted to find out what will be your plan for timber dealers in Northwestern Province and Western Province, since the industry has gone since 2021." I think you can respond to that one.
Yeah. As Tonse, starting with those that were doing business with Zafico. You know, Zafico was mainly focused in finished products. So they were trees or logs, as it were, who were later converting it into various products. We are now told that Zafico is not selling raw materials to these sawmillers. This was a very big industry. Number of people, especially on the copper belt. People were earning their livelihoods out of this business. So we are very disappointed that Zafico is a prostrator, meaning that it's a government company, if you like. Would take such a decision that to take out so many people out of employment. That was irresponsible. The previous exercise, and these are trees that would mature within between 10 to 15 years. I know that there's been a lot of regeneration in that particular industry. It was therefore irresponsible for Zafico to take such a decision and create challenges of employment in that particular sector. As Tonse, our position is that we will protect the timber industry. Trees. We will also protect limited the this to be able to get some employment of some sort.
Unfiltered. Do not
and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking, listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video. Send it to the WhatsApp number below and sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. Hello Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. It is clear to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, to listen. 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below, and I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together. My duty is to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below, and I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Build the future of this country together. Hello Zambia. My name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is from you. Show on Friday. My duty is clear, without fear, and my name is Brian Mundubile. As a leader, my duty is clear, to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. For too long, politicians have done all the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen. Whether in the village or in the city, I want to hear from you. Record a short 6-second video of your question or message and send it to the WhatsApp number below, and I'll be sure to answer it during the BM8 Unfiltered show on Friday. Tell me how you want Zambia to work for you. Nothing is off limits. Let's build the future of this country together.
We're back and we're live on Ifintuni Lungu Facebook page, on BM8 Unfiltered, that's Brian Mundubile Facebook page, and as well as on YouTube. Remember to catch short clips of this on TikTok and other social media platforms. Now, Honorable Brian Mundubile has been answering the question that came up was one.
The church is actually the cornerstone of our communities. Churches always look out for the weakest in society. As Tonse, we want to focus and anchor our policies on the poor, on the weak, on the vulnerable. That's how come we've got Nakulumutinta Pamakasa. That's how come we're focused on the many youths that out there to start. We all end up stand out in every community. Our societies are regulated by these churches and indeed the clergy. So as Tonse, we have a lot of respect for the church. We elevate their positions and ensure that we work with them in many respects, not only on spiritual matters, but even on matters of a common interest, like I said. So we continue to engage the church for guidance and spiritual guidance, and indeed in taking care of the weak and the vulnerable in society.
Another question is coming through from Silungwe Musiani, who says, what is your policy on loans?
Silungwe, what is Tonse a benefit that there's enough money to when you don't have a transparent and putting in money year in year out, and at times the money is not enough to cater for all the students. But as Tonse, we'll improve the system of recovery so that we increase the number of beneficiaries.
Let's talk to Norman Piri, who says, has Tonse Alliance met the registrar's office conditions of how a party should register as an alliance? And he goes on further, but I think you can respond from there.
That's Norman?
Norman Piri.
Yes, Norman Piri. The position of Tonse, as you know, is that we'll soon be announcing to the nation the special purpose vehicle, in this case, the political party that we use to field the flag bearer. That is a registered political party that would have met all the conditions from Registrar of Societies. So I want to settle your anxiety. We are doing well. We are sitting pretty.
All right. Another one is coming through from Pearson Katwishi, who says, what are you going to do for civil servants and public service workers who have been uprooted from regions, especially the Copper Belt and Lusaka provinces, where they were working, and taken in far-flung areas, who have been replaced by certain groupings from a certain named provinces by way of transfer?
Pearson Katwishi, I share your pain. I know you struggle to put your point across, but I know what you're talking about. I know that there's 400 civil servants at Cabinet Office who have been there the past 3 years. They don't go for work, they just get money. I also know about the movements of a number of civil servants. Remember, the position of Tonse is that we are going to unite the nation. We are going to deal with every citizen equally. We are going to treat every Zambian equally. So the opportunities that exist in government, both in private and public sectors, the opportunities will be distributed to all Zambians equally. That the Zambia under Tonse is the Zambia, every Zambian is.
Speak to unite all the different regions of Zambia, well, as
what the UPND has done to disunite Zambia. So it's very simple. First of all, as a leader, I'll talk about unity. So I'll not only talk about unity. Let's look at things that have divided the country, for instance. You are looking at the job opportunities in public service. We'll ensure that we comply with Article 259, where the appointments will be made across regional diversity. You will, for instance, if you look at defense forces, you will not find defense forces coming from one region. If you look at three arms of government, that is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, we will make sure that the heads of the institutions are coming from different regions. If you go into foreign missions, we will make sure to the embassies across the world. People are laughing at us now. I'm getting calls from across the world. People telling us what has happened to our country, because people are now using local languages in these embassies. Do you know what causes that? Because there would only be one language. There would only be one grouping of people in that particular embassy, so they're able to tour with English and communicate in their local languages. I'm talking about the various interventions that will the country. The opportunities will be available to all and shared equitably. We'll make sure that, be it in foreign missions, in the civil service, across the three arms of government, as it were, these opportunities will be given to all. Even, like I said to you before, do you know, Buchi, Pearson? I'm sure you forgot to mention one thing. Do you know, Pearson, today that if you intend to do business with government and you got you not be under the Tonse. Somebody sitting out there and they believe that certain names cannot get contracts from government this time around. That is for all. There should be people in those missions, people that will be able to attract investments and bring things to this country that will benefit us. But if you take incompetent people that now think they're in a playground, they can communicate in their local languages, and the country benefits nothing. So these are some of the leakages. These are some of the expenditures where the country doesn't get any benefit at all.
What advice do you have for students who have who want to participate full-time in Zambian?
Well,
this one is coming from Kaluba Nsama.
Kaluba, you are free to join. Just be a bit careful. Remember, Kaluba, the democratic space is non-existent here in Zambia. Be careful, because if you don't do it in politics. But remember, the people in the UPND is in power now. They will victimize anyone that they think holds a different view. So even as you endeavor to go into that, just be a bit careful. But you're free to join politics anytime. You can come to Tonse, the Tonse Secretariat in Kalundu, and we'll be able to register you on and guide you on how to proceed carefully so that you don't end up in the teeth of these unforgiving colleagues.
Another question is coming through from Rogers Walia, who says, pay as you earn in Zambia is too high. What's your position on payee? Do we expect a reduction under your government?
What's the gentleman's name again?
Rogers Walia.
Yes, Rogers, I agree with you. Pay as you earn is too high. So there are several measures that Tonse will embark on to ensure that the pay as you earn comes down. The number of people that are contributing to the treasury, those that are in employment, are very few. And because of the many demands and the competing interests, government is forced to tax these few individuals more. So the solution to that, remember, we are going to create an enabling environment where we will promote local entrepreneurs, starting from youths, women, also ensuring that the informal mining sector, small scale miners, we turn them into formal sectors so they can contribute by increasing the number of employees, by creating employers, so that you have a multiplier effect on the number of employees that you create in the private sector. We'll have more people contributing towards the treasury, therefore reducing the pay as you earn, as it were. Rogers, the pay as you earn is certainly too high. It needs to be reduced.
Right, you've been watching BM8 Unfiltered, and I've been your host. My name is Buchi, and of course you can catch a repeat or a rerun of this on Hot FM on a Monday at 9 hours, and you will be able to go walk through what has happened on this particular day. Now, with that said, remember those questions that you have, keep sending them. There's a number on the screen where you can send those questions, and they will be answered live by Honorable Brian Mundubile, who is Tonse Alliance President and 2026 candidate for
Hello, Zambia. On the independence of these institutions. It's expected that the presiding officers from Parliament should exercise impartiality. One should not only and I think the statement from the Assembly the MPs that intend to defect tomorrow at the airport, they must understand one thing, that the Zambian people trusted them. They put a lot of confidence, they sacrificed betrayal. But the actions they're about to take tomorrow are most unfortunate. And to the UPND, we are saying that there is no need, to be hypocritical. You condemn your MPs for not voting for Bill 7, but you are quick to admit and receive defectors who equally misconducted themselves on their side, as it were. So we want the affairs of this country, especially the National Assembly, to be above board. Members of Parliament should exercise some in the way that they discharge their functions on the floor of the House. We have seen that most of the questions that are asked on the floor of the House are never answered. What is most unfortunate is that many a time presiding officers have taken it upon themselves to respond on behalf of ministers. If the UPND does not have competence they should be able to take the difficult questions. Why are presiding officers quick to answer for them? Yes, within the UPND, but the buck stops at the president. The buck stops at President Hakainde Hichilema. President Hakainde Hichilema should check even in the last 1 month and ensure that the MPs, the ministers that he sends to parliament, are ministers that can take on difficult questions. We do not expect presiding officers to take it upon themselves and begin to respond. My duty is clear: to listen without fear, and to speak the truth without compromise, and to stand firmly with the people of this nation. Join me every Friday at 20 hours for BM8 Unfiltered. You can watch live on Facebook and YouTube. All the talking without listening to you. I want to change that. I'm ready to listen, whether in the village or in the city.